Hello, this is a webcast to give you tips for accessing primary sources for your National History Day project with Ms. Wuepper. Hello everyone, this is Ms. Urrutia. Okay, so first I wanted to go over what a primary source is, just to make sure we all know what we're talking about here. Remember, a primary source, it's an original object or document. It's first-hand information. It's material written or produced in the time period you may be investigating. This is very important, and we'll talk about this when we get to our database review. And finally, the purpose of a primary source, it's supposed to enable you, the researcher, to get as close to possible to what actually happened during a historical event or time period. Now, for this project, you have to use at least, I think, 10 sources, and I would imagine that at least half of those are primary sources. You have a lot of options, and as you'll see, there's many places to find good primary sources. You could use diaries or journals, autobiographies or biographies, speeches, historical documents such as the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution, sound recordings and interviews. Those can be written out or live, photographs and videos. In addition, political cartoons that were written at the time would make a great primary source. Letters, and I put a question mark next to newspapers and magazines because it's not always a primary source. Remember, it has to be, the article or magazine article has to be written at the time something happened. Then it would be a primary source. So don't just assume it will be. Okay, so now we're going to go to the Bothell High School homepage, and we're going to navigate to the library page. We're going to click on Internet Pathfinders, and we are looking at international studies. And remember, we linked right here to the National History Day project, Leadership and Legacy. Remember, it has to be global. So you all have already been using some of these for your secondary source research. Just a reminder that we put a lovely red P next to databases that have great primary sources. So for my first review, I'm going to take you to our wonderful Global Issues in Context to show you some primary sources. Now, I'm not going to say the password. I'm at home right now, so I need the password, and we already gave you those passwords, so see us if you don't have it. I'm going to go ahead and go to Advanced Search to find my primary sources. And for my sample today, I'm going to type in Eleanor Roosevelt, which is right here, as a keyword. And since I know we're looking at the United Nations, I'm going to put that in and change this to keyword as well, so it's not just in the document title. Okay, now if you scroll down, you are going to see that you have lots of options. And you could think about what specific source you want and click here, but for our purposes today, I'm just going to look at this handy dandy. We can just simply click primary sources, and it's already going to do that for you. Almost all databases have these options. You need to go to the advanced search, and often you'll see that choice on the left-hand side where you can change that you just want that type of content, and it really makes your searching way easier. It's going to save you a ton of time. So let's see what we get with Eleanor Roosevelt and the United Nations, just looking for primary sources. And that is awesome. We get 6, which is a really nice number to review and look at. For example, the adoption of the Declaration of Human Rights, which would be an amazing source. You can listen to it. You can remember, it can cite it for you. You can simply select it and copy that and paste it into your Noodle tools. So yet another reason to use databases. And notice if you scroll down, it kind of talks about the primary source for you and guides you through it. So using these databases is just so much more time. It's just better for your time, use of your time. Speaking of time, I want to also show you one more great place for primary sources, and that is, of course, your King County Library New York Times historical source. Now for this one, you have to have your King County Library card and password. I already put mine in, but you will be prompted for that, so make sure you have that handy. And for this, once again, I'm going to go to Advanced Search, because we're going to get a lot of these. And remember, I talked about these. This is a database that will give you newspaper articles from the New York Times all the way from 1851 to 2010. Now I'm going to search Mrs. Roosevelt or Eleanor Roosevelt and United Nations. Okay, I'm going to leave it in anywhere. And I could once again be specific, like if I just wanted to see if there was an editorial cartoon. For our purposes, I'm going to click front page article because we're going to get a ton of hits. Okay, I'm going to search. Now, remember, I talked about how we want, look how many results I got. I got a ton of results. We really want this to be a primary source, so we want to look at the dates. So another thing you can do to narrow your sources is to make sure that the dates match the time period that you're specifically looking for. So if we click this one from 1940 to 1949, we are going to get primary source newspaper articles. Notice we still have a lot of results, so you will need to do some more narrowing. A good way to do that would be by document type, which, we already did front page article, maybe even by publication title. Today we're not going to talk about that. We're going to leave that for another podcast because I'm running out of time. But this is just 2 places that will be really helpful in helping you find primary sources. And of course, if you're struggling, if you need ideas, please come see me in the library and I'd be happy to help. Thank you very much for your time.